Use it for the Lord. Use it for the Lord. We're in a sermon series called Ignite, Past the Fire in You. Ignite, Past the Fire in You. We started this sermon series last week. We had a great time last week. We're continuing this sermon series. There's something that God has placed inside of you. There's a fire inside of you, and God wants you to use that fire to bless somebody else. Bless people on your job. He wants you to bless your community. He wants you to bless your household. He wants you to bless your children. He wants you to bless yourself. There's a fire inside of you. Last week I talked about how God will turn your life upside down to light that fire. So I'm continuing that sermon series today. Today I want to come from Luke chapter 8, verse 16. I'm only going to lift one scripture from that text. One scripture from that pericope. Luke chapter 8, verse 16. Here's what it says. No one lights a lamp and then covers it with a bowl or hides it under a bed. A lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen by all who enter the house. All right? Today I want to speak from this topic, burn, baby, burn. I thought that was good. Okay. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, burn, baby, burn. Okay, right, okay. Y'all get a little more excited about this stuff that we be doing in church. This stuff be good. Burn, baby, burn. Burn, baby, burn. Where does that statement come from? Where does that statement come from? We've probably all heard it at some point or another. Where does it come from? It actually comes from 1965. 1965, there was something called the Watts Riot. The Watts Riots. This is in California. Black man was arrested. Funny, 1965, black man was arrested, and there were some people in the city who felt like the cops didn't do them right. And so as a result of what these people saw in Watts in 1965, they started protesting. They started burning up buildings and messing up cop cars. Does that sound familiar? Thank y'all. 1965, it's something called the Watts Riots, and it's because of racism and political and economic isolation. All this stuff is going on in Watts in 1965, and so the people decide, okay, this ain't right, the climate is not right, and because the climate needs to change, they decide to protest. They decide to burn up buildings, and while the buildings were burning, somebody wanted to come in and try to put the fire out, and somebody was like, no. They were looking at the buildings that were burning in their life, and they said, no, burn, baby, burn, because they realized this, the world is watching. And by these buildings burning, a message is going out to the world. Because the climate ain't right. And the world needs to know that the climate needs to change. And so in order for the climate to change, some buildings had to be set on fire, and somebody just stood back and said, burn, baby, burn. Here's what you have to understand about the God that we serve. God recognized, when he looked at the world, he realized the climate ain't right. He looked at your job and realized your job ain't right. He looked at your family and realized, y'all realize I'm really preaching up in here, your family ain't right. So what God had to do is, he had to set you on fire. The reason he had to set you on fire is because there's something inside of you that understand, unless you're set on fire, the message inside of you that the world needs to get, the world won't get it unless you're set on fire. So God is looking at your life while your life is on fire, and God is saying, burn, baby, burn. Now, you wondering, God, why is my life on fire? Why am I dealing with this? Why am I dealing with that? God says there's a message that you're sending out to the world, but the world won't get it unless you burn, baby, burn. I just want to do a room assessment this morning and see if there's anybody else in here that'll say, God, I thank you for setting my life on fire. where they would put, this thing is hot, y'all see it, I'm gonna put it down. See, watch this, because y'all know I'm smooth with it. That's how your life should be. That when you've been burning for a long time, when people sit next to you in church, they ought to be saying, hey, this is a hot section. When people sit next to you on your job, they ought to say, no, it's too hot for me. The folks that you in relate to, somebody get excited about the fact that your life is on fire. And when somebody gets close to you, they like, no, this is a hot section, this is a hot section. Somebody said, burn, baby, burn. Thank you, okay. Let me just show it to y'all. So here's what God would do with the lamp. It would be a jar, a container with a wick in it. And what they do is they pour oil in the container. And when they pour the oil in the container, the wick, which would be lit, would burn the oil. Now, we don't use oil, but here's what we do have. This blue stuff at the bottom of the thing, that's the same thing as the oil. Y'all with me? Same thing. They pour the blue stuff in there, which was in that day oil. They poured in there, and the stuff in there, because the wick was lit, it would burn. What's inside of the container comes out and has an impact on this environment. Are y'all with me? But guess what? If there's nothing inside, first of all, the wick wouldn't be lit. That was good. If there's nothing inside, the wick won't burn. Which means if there's nothing inside of you, you're not going to burn. Somebody should have really just ran around this cafeteria. If there was nothing in you, you wouldn't be burning. You wouldn't have to deal with the stuff that you're dealing with if it wasn't anything inside of you. But it's because something is inside of you, that's why you're able to be lit. But understand, the purpose for which you're lit is to, what's inside of you needs to come out and it's changing. See, I'm standing up here next to this thing and I smell the fragrance of what's inside this container. What is this thing supposed to be called? Somebody put thought into it, which is why they put a label on the outside. This thing gives off a particular smell. It does a particular thing. What you have to understand about your life is that the oil that God is putting inside of you is there to serve a particular purpose. It's there for a particular reason. But understand, in order for that thing to come out of you, God says, I gotta set you on fire. So I'm burning. But I'm changing my environment. I'm burning, but I'm changing my environment. I'm burning, but I'm changing my environment. Burn, baby, burn. Okay, the flame is lit. God's trying to change this environment that you're in. All right, I got 3 points that all got to do with this flame and what God is doing. That all has to do with this flame and what God is doing. We want to keep this flame burning. All right, first point is this. All right, avoid actions that could extinguish your fire. Yeah. That's the first point today. Avoid actions that could extinguish your fire. Y'all like, where's that in the Bible? I got you. No one lights a lamp and then covers it with a bowl. All right, that's where that first point comes from. Avoid actions that could extinguish your flame. Now, here's what I could do. If I put a bowl on top of this, guess what's going to happen? The flame is going to go out. If I sit a bowl on top of this for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, whatever, the flame's going to go out. Because it's not intended to have, watch this, a low covering on it. But if I put a low covering over this, guess what's going to happen? It's going to go out. Here's what so many of us do. God has lit us. There's something inside of us that he's trying to spread. But we put lids, bones, or really what we're doing is we're extinguishing the flame inside of us. Extinguish means you completely wipe out, take out whatever God's trying to do. God's trying to do something in your life, but you do something that just totally extinguishes the flame inside of you. All right? It is fire. It's really like a fire extinguisher. Here's what most of us do with our life. Y'all heard that pass. We get a fire extinguisher. We pull. We aim. We squeeze and we sweep. That's what we do with our life. Really, we're taking the fire extinguishers of life and pointing at ourselves. We pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep over our lives. God's trying to do something. He's trying to light us, and we just put the fire extinguisher. Oh, we making sure. No, this flame ain't gonna rise, God. Come on, y'all gonna preach it. God, I'm gonna make sure. Because y'all know how much stuff in the fire extinguisher. Okay, thank you. That's what you're doing. You making sure you covering your whole body so nothing will burn. What's something that could totally wipe me out? Okay, you on a job. God put you there. This is what you're doing. You there still. Oh, what y'all doing right about it? Because see, God got you there because he's trying to do something in your life on that job. There's some people there who need to see your testimony. There's some people there that if you bother to pray for them, their lives will change. There's some people there that if you just decide to tell them, hey man, this is what the Lord told me to say, they're going to be like, well, the Lord told you to say that. You're going to be like, yeah, that's what the Lord told me to say. And you're going to change their life. There's some people on your job that's waiting on you to, what's inside of you, just give them a little bit of that. That's what they're waiting on. This is what you're doing. You at work still. Story is told about this guy going up for a job, executive job. He went through the interview. The interview goes well. And then the people doing the interview said, well, we're going to come back after lunch. We're going to talk about your salary. But before we do, we're just going to go to lunch. We're going to talk about the rest of it. We're going to close the deal when we come back. And so the guy goes to lunch with the executives and they're in the lunch line. And they're going through and they're getting what they need to get. They had some butter. The guy got a pack of butter. Put it on this tray. Now the butter was like 10 cents. He gets the butter, puts it on this tray, but he slides it under the napkins. Y'all, butter costs how much? He gets the butter, slides it under the napkin, goes through the line, which means the person at the cash register didn't see it because the butter was under the napkin. Come on, some of y'all know y'all did that, so don't act like that. Okay. You got butter 10 cents. You're going to pay 10 cents for it. Don't the cashier need to see the butter? Then why you slide it under? Okay. One of the executives that was interviewing him was behind him and saw that he slid the 10 cents butter under the napkin. They go back into the lead. He thinking they finna close the deal. He about to get 6 figures. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 figures. Okay, whatever. I'm on 6 figures. Get y'all. Okay. And the executive who saw him said, hey man, I saw you steal that butter. He said, how can I trust you to be over my millions if I can't get you, expect you to do right over 10 cents? Boy, that was good. How can I expect you to do right over my millions if I can't expect you to do right over 10 cents? How many of us, God has us in some positions and we totally extinguish what God is trying to do? It's yours. But you got that fire extinguisher and you like, no sir, buddy. You in that relationship and you know that God don't want you to be there. And it's totally taking out, canceling out, eclipsing. You can't do it. I'm going to say something that's going to speak your language. You totally in that and God is like, but you know that's quenching the flame that I got on your life. We need to avoid things that will completely hinder us from doing what God wants us to do, right? That's one. Number two is this. Avoid actions that could hide your fire. Now, the first one was the extreme where your fire is totally taken out. Here's the next picture. The next picture is this. You hide in your flame. Now, here's the thing. A lot of us, we have a flame. Y'all with me? Okay, some of y'all are like, where is this in the Bible? Okay, y'all know. No one lights a candle, lights a lamp, and then covers it with a bowl. That was the first point. Second point, or hides it under a bed. Y'all with me? Or hides it under a bed. That's hiding you. So here's the thing. It's you got a flame that's lit. Some inside of you is coming out. But as opposed, and I'm talking about this in the last point, to being out front and center, this is what you're doing. You take your flame and you put it literally from the Bible, under a bed. All right, now, okay, now, why does under the bed need to be lit? Y'all with me? It's under the bed. Why does under the bed need to be lit? Here's the thing. I don't care how much stuff you got under your bed. Some of y'all nasty. I know you're nasty. I'm joking. Under the bed does not need to be lit. There's no need for a light under the bed. Y'all see what God said? He's like, this is how ridiculous some of this stuff is. You are a light under a bed, which means you light up some situations that don't even supposed to be lit up. That was good. You light up some situations that don't even supposed to be lit up. You are a light under a bed. Here's what you're doing. You burning. Guess what? God is doing it, but you hide your flame. Now here's how I see hiding your flame. I see it like this. When people walk around with candles, usually to keep the wind out, they do like this. Because they're trying to keep their candle lit, hide it from the wind. A lot of us say, well, I'm trying to keep it lit. It's good now. I'm trying to keep it lit, but understand what you're doing is you're really not keeping the wind out. You really just hiding your flame. How do I hide my flame? I'm trying to keep it lit. My low self-esteem, I'm preaching up in here. My low self-esteem, I'm worried, God, that if I try to do what I feel you telling me to do, I'm going to fail. So because I don't think I'm good enough, I'm preaching up in here, because some of y'all know you could be doing better, but you don't think you're good enough, so you hide your flame. How about this? Fear. Fear. But the Bible said God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. No, fear. God, I'm scared. God, come on, God, I'm scared. And so because I'm scared, God, of what could happen, I'm not going to do it. Guess what you're doing? You hiding your flame. You hiding your flame. So here's what you're doing. Because you're hiding the flame, God is trying to let your flame be seen in a big way. But because you hide it, you're in some situations now. This is good. If you really knew how big your flame was, if you really knew how to move what's been hiding, because you lighten up some dark places now that God ain't even trying to light up. If you really understood your assignment, if you really understood, I'm preaching now, what God is trying to do, if you really understood and you removed, I'm preaching, the stuff that you're doing to hide it. Okay, well, if you really knew what you could light up, if you really knew, but you can light up. Last point is this. Embrace actions that accelerate your fire. You're lit now. You are lit. How about this? Y'all do. Somebody just get this in your spirit. Everybody else say, I am lit. All right, now say this. Say, I am on fire. Say this. Say, I have a fire within. And you need to embrace that. That's what you need to embrace. Go ahead and give yourself permission to accept, no, there really is a fire inside of you. I'm going to say that one more time. No, there really is a fire inside of you. There's really something better inside of you. God really does have a plan. God really does have a purpose that's brewing inside of you. Here's the thing. When you go ahead and accept it, that's the problem. Most of us just don't accept what God is really doing. We do parts of it. We do some of it. We'll accept pieces of it. And God's like, no. There's really a big, grand, overall, life-changing, world-changing, universal-changing. There's really something great inside of you. You got to accept it. But accepting it means this. You finally embrace it. You finally embrace it. This is what God said in the text. Because I know y'all like, man, where you getting that stuff from? I'm getting it from the Bible. He says a lamp is placed on a stand. A lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen by all who enter the house. It says, okay, I want y'all to get this. I'm going to point at my screen. I ain't going to touch my little nice screen. Y'all know I'm silly. I'm always be silly. We being serious, but I won't be silly. He says what? Now here's what you got to accept one day. At some point you got to accept this. There's a stand with your name on it. At some point you got to accept this. There's a stand with your name on it. At some point you got to accept, you know what? I really can sit here, and everybody looking at me. I'm preaching up here. I really can do this and be changing the atmosphere while I'm doing it. At some point you got to accept there really is a stand for you. Okay, this word stand, let me give y'all what it means in the Bible. This is literally what it means. That whole stand, here's what that stand was. It was, watch this, a common household item. This is going to bless y'all. This stand was a common household item. But it was the only one in the house. When y'all get it, y'all will be like, oh. The candle stand was a common piece of furniture in every house. Everybody say it was in every house. But there was only one in every house. I'm going to say that one more time. The stand was in every house. But there was only one in every house. See, because the old houses in the Bible day wasn't like our houses. We got all these rooms and we got these walls and you turn the corner and we got arch, all that stuff. They weren't doing that. It was one big room like this. It was one big room like this. Which means if it's dark, all the lights are off, no sunlight, it's dark. In the middle of the room, they had a candle stand. The candle stand sat in the middle of the room. And guess what the candle stand did from the middle of the room? Lit the whole room up. Where God has you in your life. Am I preaching? Yes. Where God has you in your life, it is possible. No, it is not. It is possible. God has you somewhere right now. And you are one of many. But you're the only one there. You got to accept you're the only one there. I don't know what your situation is. Maybe it's your job. Where God has you on your job. Maybe you the only one there who gonna get some of them jokers to cut their stuff out. But here's the thing, if you on your job, cussing everybody out, in the parking lot trying to fight, you extinguishing your flame, and God's like, man, cut that foolishness out. I got you there for a good reason. You might be the only one on your job that's gonna help that job get right. You wondering, why am I in this community? God says this, you in this community, because you're probably the only one there that's going to be able to help. I'm preaching now. Listen, my community that I'm trying to move, Pastor gonna move this shit. Pastor gonna move this shit. I'm trying to get out of my community. And they do some trash in front of my door. I'm like, man, what y'all doing? I was so mad yesterday. Why people throwing trash? People don't even respect them. Don't y'all throwing no trash in Charlotte. These people work hard to keep these streets clean. Come on. But listen, in my community, it sounds like a tangent, but it's like, in my community, little teenage boy, he was like, hey, Mr. Bell, saw me coming from the gym. Man, can I go to the gym with you? I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because he wanted to go to the gym. He was like, I get out of school at 3 o'clock. I was like, man, sometimes I go early in the morning, sometimes I go at lunch, sometimes I just go when I feel like going. He's like, man, I got out of school at 3:30. He said, man, we're going to go at 3:40. Come meet me at 3:40, man. Meet me at 3:40. I'm just going to the gym with the little man. We go to the gym. I'm actually preaching right now. He see me walk in, I got a black card from Planet Fitness. It's gonna cost us $20. First time we going to the gym, I'm like, yeah, this is my guest. They're like, okay, sign your name. He's like, you ain't got to pay that for me. I said, I got it on my little black card. Y'all with me? He thinks my little car nice. It is what it is. It's like, I'm like, man, do you know what some of these other people ride in? So I'm going to the gym with the guy. I don't know what we're going to talk about. He's like 12, 13. I'm trying to, like, I'm telling you, I don't know what he listened to. So I go between CNN and the hip-hop station. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay, maybe you want to listen to this, but I won't listen to this, and I'm just trying to find a balance. We just going to the gym. They move. I'm in the barbershop the other day. I see the guys, the woman, the guy that his mom is dating. They move in together, and he says this to me. He said, hey man, how you doing? I don't recognize him, he recognized me. I said, hey man, how do I know you? He said, yeah, I just come around the community with so-and-so. I said, yeah, man. I said, how Malice doing? That's the little boy's name. Y'all pray for Malice. He said, man, he was in the mall the other day. 13 boys jumped on him in the mall. I said, man, what mall they doing that at? What, 13 boys gonna just jump on another boy? He told me the mall. I said, wow. I said, is he in the game? He said, yes and no. He said, you know, they always gonna say they ain't in no game. He said, but this looks like some gang activity to me. Y'all with me? Yeah. Now I'm just going to the gym with the guy. Y'all see what I'm saying? I'm just going to the gym. I'm trying to figure out, and I'm doing this. I'm having fresh start conversation on the way to the gym. He hear me talking about my book on the way to the gym. We go to a gas station one day. He see this guy that he know that works at another gas station. I told him this. Hey man, I respect the hustle. But don't you be 30-something years old? Listen, I respect everybody's hustle. Are y'all with me? I said, man, I don't want you to be 30 years old and you work on at a gas station on one side of town and then another gas station on the other side of town. I said, do that only if you own both gas stations. Y'all with me? But then he getting beat up in the street, getting beat up in the mall. Are y'all with me? Simple, mundane, small stuff that God says he's got you on a stand. You're wondering why you're in that situation. God said, because I got you on the stand. I know this. Malice is going to see me again. We're believing God he's going to go to college, and we're believing God that he's going to graduate from college. He's going to see me again. And when we get on TV in Charlotte, maybe he's going to, listen, when we start doing the stuff we do, he's going to say, man, I remember that guy. Took me to the gym with him. And he took me to the gym. And when Malice get his stuff together, guess what Malice going to do? He's going to get back to some other little black kid. And when that kid get his stuff together, that kid is going to give some back to somebody else. Here's what I'm trying to say. God has a stand for you. Embrace your stand because you have an impact right now. Let your fire burn. You'll have an impact tomorrow. Let your fire burn. You'll have an impact next year. Let your fire burn. 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 I don't know what that looks like for you, but it's something inside of you. Let it burn. Let it burn. Let it burn. God is looking at your life and he's saying, burn, baby, burn. Burn at your high school. Come on, teenagers. Burn at your high school. Burn at your middle schools. Burn in the corporate office. Burn while you're driving down the street. Burn in your community. Burn at the PTA. Burn, baby, burn. Burn in your marriage. Burn, burn, burn when you in the drive-thru and they mess your oil up. Don't cuss them out. Just say, God bless you, baby. I said I wanted to stuff suicide. All I'm trying to say is stuff will happen in your life, but God says I'm trying to burn you so you can exude. Exude what I placed inside of you. Burn, baby, burn.